Good morning. I'd love to say it was a bright, glorious morning, but alas, no, we have got another very dark, grey, drizzly kind of day here in Sussex. As actually has been a lot of the winter. It hasn't been really very cold, but it's been extremely wet. So there we go. But today I have some chores to run in Brighton, so I thought I would take you with me. It's Wednesday today. Yeah, nothing wildly exciting, but we might see some interesting stuff as we go along. So let's go. So before we go into Brighton, I thought I would do a short film of this wall of posters that was part of the I think it was called the Super Graphics project, which was walls of posters and murals all around Newhaven. Now that was last summer, and as you can see, the posters are getting a bit torn and a bit layered in places. There's all sorts of styles. Some were designed by the community, some were professional artists, there were some that were kind of more retro, but all really interesting. And as I thought it was a bit of a shame actually when they started to get torn and then reposted, but they have this amazing, you get this amazing texturing happening, and it reminds me of, I think it's Berlin, where you get these walls with super thick layers of posters, like layers upon layers, dozens of layers. And that becomes a kind of really interesting thing in itself, I think. But there's all sorts of images. I just think it's very cool. And this is an underpass mural that was done, I think, as part of the same Super Graphics Festival. And that was done by, it's called The Siren Song, and based on a poem, presumably. And it was done by Ellie Fryer, so I'll try and link her. But it's an amazing mural, which still looks brilliant, actually. It hasn't aged very much at all over the past year. I really love the detail of it, the colours. I think this sort of public art adds so much to spaces, particularly spaces that are not particularly attractive. Like this, I'll show you this underpass now. Let's go to the end. Oh my goodness, look at the crabs, fantastic crab. So here is the underpass, which, as you can see, is not an attractive space, but with the posters and then the mural, it's really quite transformed, I think. And here is another enormous graphic. It's difficult to kind of get the scale of it in, but it is enormous. And extends the whole length of this wall. St. Luke's Lane. And this one is called Sun, Sea, You and Me. I think you can get a sense of just how big it is, and I think it's brilliant because it's right next to just to one of the main bus stops. So as you draw in, there is just this amazing, huge graphic. On the way to the bus stop, I've now got seduced by having a quick walk along the river. It's the River Ouse, and it's obviously at really, really low tide that you can see, and it's gloriously muddy, and I just love that. I love what the low tide reveals. It's all the seaweed and mud, and I guess some rubbish, and kind of seaweed encrusted ropes and pipes. I just find it endlessly fascinating, because it's that collision, isn't there, between industrial working river and port and natural beauty. So this is an area in Newhaven called Denton Island, and yeah, I don't know that much about it. I've only been over here once. It is separated, obviously, by the river, and there is a bridge across the river. But there's something about it I find really quite fascinating and need to explore a little bit more. Yeah, amazing how low the tide is. And look at that. I think there were at one time, there were lots of liveaboard boats here, and quite a big community. I don't know whether that still exists now, but certainly there is a boatyard. Oh, and to the rescue is a handy information board showing, there you go, that's showing Denton Island by Newhaven Historical Society. So what does it say about Denton Island? It says it's a man-made island. It was created when an artificial cut was made between 1864 and 1867 to straighten the River Ouse. The land was prone to flooding, but a small community was created when Sefton Terrace, Cat's Cottages, Reed's Cottages and the huts were built on the southwestern side of the island. The final resident left the island in 1959, and the last of the houses were demolished in the 1960s. That seems a bit of a shame. The current bridge linking the island to the town was built in 1983, and now, from having a look around, it seems to be that it's mainly businesses, some community facilities, light industry, that sort of thing, although it does say that there are houseboats too. I can just see some of the boats, but I think this is the boatyard rather than the houseboats. Gosh, and some of these, look how green that one is. Goodness, that hasn't been cleaned for quite a while. Yeah. Anyway, I think this is a boatyard, and I can't work out. Yeah, I can't work out how to get into the houseboats bit, so maybe I'll have to do a bit more investigation of that and come back, and in the meantime, let's get going to Brighton. That's another view of the river and the entrance to the boatyard. Shame about all the refuse lorries as a backdrop there, but there you go. Can't have it all, I guess. Really super interesting though. Be a great place to come drawing actually, if I could get a little bit closer to the boats. So I still haven't made it to Brighton yet. I have hopped off the bus at Rottingdean. And I'm going to venture a coffee by the side of the beach. It's not so cold actually. It isn't really that cold, but it's been very foggy and misty. and you can see the white chalky cliffs, and that's like an undercliff walk that goes from Rottingdean to Brighton Marina, which is what you can see in the distance. It's a bit murky today, but I think you can see it. You can walk all the way along there.
Is Rottingdean. The next stop is Newhaven.
I do like it. I do like it when there's some planting around the seafront. I guess you just have to be careful which plants, drought-resistant plants and robust plants and stuff, but I think it makes quite a difference. It's one of the things I really like about Eastbourne seafront is all the planting. So the main Brighton seafront, this is the bit of the beach that always you always see in the newspapers in the summer being absolutely jam-packed. And here are all, the arches underneath the seafront, and on the weekends at this time of year and in the summer they're open. They're gift shops, a lot of them are small art galleries, that sort of thing. They're kind of nice, they're nice individual things. The merry-go-round that's always on the seafront, the horse merry-go-round, is still packed up, and I think that's always a sign for me that spring is coming when that gets unveiled, probably around Easter. And that's opposite the carousels, fish and chip shop. This is British seafront at its finest, isn't it? The carousel fish and chip shop and the snack bar where you can get your fish and chips and cold drinks, your ice cream, your burgers, all the rest of it. As you can see, it's shut. I guess it's probably open on the weekends, but not in the week yet. I think that's a post-Easter thing. I think this is what's called the fishing quarter. Got some of the old fishing boats. Oh yes, look, here we go, the Fishing Quarter Gallery. It has exhibitions on. Fishermen's Society. Oh, there's a museum, Brighton Fishing Museum. We'll hop in there. And coffee shop, old net loft. Yeah, kind of all Brighton's fishing history. some men sorting out fishing nets there. Let's go in the museum. Wow, there's some great photos, some great portraits here. Alan Hayes, the inspiration behind the museum. And look at this one. What a great photo. Wow. Look at all this Brighton history, Brighton memorabilia. I'm guessing that a lot of this stuff is maybe off the West Pier. That's now the one that's fallen into disrepair. But I love this, when you used to be able to catch boats going to all sorts of different places along the coast. I have to say that I'm a bit of a sucker for a good local museum. Wow, there's a ton of stuff in here. I love this. Look at the old signage. The Elizabeth Jane. Yeah, and even the signage for the Shellfish Bar, cockles. Yeah, amazing, I love it. And then the other side, just behind me, is the boat. Yeah, fantastic. Wow, I love this as well, this cart. St John's Place, Brighton, I wonder where that is. Obviously for bric-a-brac, any old iron, a bit like a rag and bone man, but a bit more specialist. Fab. Coffee shop opening up because look what's happened. Can you believe it? Blue sky. Well, I think lots of the cafes are either opening up for lunch a bit later, or maybe the weather forecast has improved, so they're opening up now. But what nice, it's a really nice colourful parade here. All the seating, see if I can, gosh, I almost tripped up and fell over then. Oh dear. Wow, look at the waves today. Actually, it's a really exciting, invigorating kind of day now. It wasn't earlier. It was just all grey and drizzle. Yeah. But now it's windy, the waves are big. There's the West Pier in the distance. Yeah, it feels like an energy shifting kind of day. The other view from the other side of the seafront, the Brighton Centre, which is that kind of modern brutalist building. Then the Grand Hotel, which is quite famous, and all the other hotels along the prom. Looks nice now. The sunshine, look at the sunshine on the Grand. I hope you enjoyed the quick tour of the Newhaven street art and along the River Ouse and a promenade along Brighton Seafront. I haven't lived in Newhaven very long, and it's one of the things I'm really looking forward to about Easter onwards, when the weather gets better, is actually exploring it a bit more, because it's a really interesting sort of place. It's a mix of, it's always been a busy port town. So there's always been that kind of mixture of nature with the river. It's got two beaches. It's got amazing things like, there used to be Victorian oyster beds, which have now been kind of taken over by the river. So it's got all of that natural stuff, but then it's juxtaposed with industry, and some uglier kind of things, but necessary things. You know, it's a working port town. This stuff has to happen somewhere. So anyway, I am looking forward to exploring that much, much more as the weather gets better. Also wanted to share a conversation that I had with a good friend over the weekend, because it was so interesting. We're both in that position of life perhaps not looking as we thought it was going to look. As I said, I'm 59, my friend's in her early 60s, both in that position. And we were talking about this vlog and our various aspirations around 2025. And I just thought it'd be fun to maybe share some of that, because I would absolutely love to hear if you've got any thoughts on it, because this is just just thinking so far. It's not any answers, it's just thinking. Sorry if you can hear noise, it's a cat jumping around in the background. Yeah, it's just thoughts to date. And we were both, actually, it started off when we were talking about actually how did we want 2025 to be, how did we want it to be different. That was quite difficult to grapple with. It all seemed a bit indistinct. But when we started talking about actually contraction and what we didn't want, what we didn't like, it became much easier to say, oh, well, okay, right, we don't want that, so we want this. And it was things like from having a very vital, alive social life, for that becoming much, much quieter. And while neither of us want to be, you know, buzzing out every night, certainly not, but something that is more alive would be great. And interaction with different sorts of people as well, that kind of collision of when you just go out and you randomly meet fun people or see a band or something like that. And we were both saying it's so easy. I mean, it's partly the time of year, let's be honest. It's the UK, it's the winter, it's dreary, it's been wet. You know, I've been endlessly talking about how wet it is. So that doesn't kind of encourage that adventuring. But on the other hand, there's got to be some volition behind it and some intention. So, you know, if I just stay in, which can be very nice, I can be, you know, painting and drawing, I can watch TV, I can do all of that stuff. It'd be very comfortable, but I'm not going to meet people. I'm not going to see unexpected things if you're just in your house, if you're in your place all the time. So I think that sense of more excitement, more of the unexpected, more adventuring would be good. I was saying to my friend that actually even in the short period that I've been doing this vlog, I've had to go out. Even when it's been drizzly and rainy and I haven't fancied it very much, I've had to go out because I thought, well, what else am I going to film unless I just sort of go around and film bits and bobs, or I could film a sketchbook. That might be quite fun. I might do that one day. But I have to be out. So that's given me some kind of impetus to get out and about and explore, which has been very cool actually, because there hasn't been one time when I've thought, oh, I really wish I hadn't bothered. It's been good. And you go out and you go on the beach, or you go by the river, or even walk around a park. And then there's that positive connection with nature, isn't there? Which is also good. And those chance conversations that you have when you're having a coffee, or you're looking at things, or dog walkers, or whatever it might be. So it's introducing more of that back into both of our lives, we were saying. And it's also about not listening to maybe some of the stereotypes and that kind of cultural programming around what it is to be 59, 60 and a single woman, and what you can and you can't do. I think I'm lucky because I live quite close to Brighton. There are lots of single women. I don't have any problem going to the cinema or the theatre or anything like that by myself. There are plenty of other women who are doing that, so that's kind of easy. But it's even small things, isn't it? It's about being visible. It's about actually doing a YouTube channel is about being visible in a way, isn't it? I mean, look, there are loads of us in our 50s and 60s, loads of women, but not so many YouTube channels that don't talk about beauty or health or fashion, that just talk about vlogs or real lives, you know. There aren't many of those, but there are so many, so why aren't we more visible? So we've got that on one level, and then it's things like we had a discussion about kind of what clothes I could wear, whether I love wearing bright lipstick, at what point, is there a point where that becomes inappropriate or is it not? And all of that stuff, and throwing it all in a mixing bowl and just deciding what fits the life that you want to create and what doesn't, throwing it out and introducing some new ingredients in. Anyway, I don't know whether that makes sense. I hope it does. I've just noticed it's a 6-minute monologue. Hopefully that's not too boring. And I'm brave enough to include it because it is a funny thing, speaking to the camera and doing a monologue. Anyway, thank you. If you've got this far, thank you for watching. I hope you have an amazing week. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you. At the moment, I'm intending on posting a video every Tuesday. That's the schedule that sort of seems to be roughly working at the moment. So I will see you next Tuesday.